CX is at the heart of leadership.
So let's start with the heart of our employees.
I need to embed it in my heart and operate from there.
Because it is the pulse of my patient.
CX is that glue that brings everything together.
Everybody to join us because the customer, the client, the patient, the citizen, the stakeholder is the driver of that institution.
Hi, and welcome to the inaugural CX podcast, courtesy of the Institute of Customer Experience. We are more than glad that this has come to be, and have with me amazing guests here, I shall be disclosing soon enough, who are here to help us really demystify what CX is, just the inaugural things, what is it all about, and I can't wait to have this conversation. And so, to a beautiful start, drum rolls to my amazing guests. This is the CX Roundtable podcast. Thank you so much, guys, for coming in. Yeah. I want to assume to all the guys who are watching that I don't know you at all. So I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself, but this is how we're going to start. So introduce yourself and what you do. And then very quickly, when we talk about CX, customer experience, what comes to mind in your own thoughts? I don't know where I'm going to start, but because my feelings are on the right, so we're going to start from that end.
We're not going ladies first.
No. It cites fast. Please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Akshay. I'm the CEO of Custometrics. What we do is we help brands to drive growth through better customer and employee insights. So really helping them to understand the data and tell the stories behind the data.
Excellent.
For me, customer experience is really about frictionless. I want stuff to be done as quickly and as simply as possible. And whoever I'm engaging with just needs to make that happen. And for that, for me, is simple CX.
Wow. All right. Loving. Mm-hmm.
I am Carol Gaviru. I am here in my capacity as advisory at the Institute of Customer Experience, the Institute of Customer Experience, the body for customer experience in the nation that sets standards, policies, that has people have their mind and focus on both customer service and customer experience. So leading the way for that, it's a membership institution. And so we want more and more members so that customer experience in the whole nation, whether it's government, whether it's non-government, whether it's social impact, whether it's private sector, whether it's the trader on the shop floor, whether it's the hustler, that customer experience excellence is great. So that's what we stand for. Customer experience for me means that, we say customer experience and experience starts with an E, but we say CX with an X.
Yeah.
What's the interesting part of that?
It's the X factor.
The X
It's
factor.
the X factor. It's how your heart feels.
Yeah.
You can't quite put a name or a number to how your heart feels.
Yeah.
So when we say X,
Yes.
that's the X factor in CX.
Yes. I love it.
Yeah.
I kept wondering, by the way, why is it X?
Yes, that's why it's X.
Why not an E?
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Thanks, Faina. I'm Joseph CEO, MP Share Hospital. I'm really happy to be here, really excited to be here. Healthcare is quite different.
Absolutely.
I think I'm ready to share my experiences here. For me, what comes to mind when I hear customer experience is luxury.
Yes.
I should see just luxury, seamless, just something just flowing like a river.
I love that. There's an imagination.
Very nice.
Thank you. Good to have you here. Our inaugural CEO.
Thank you.
True. Yes, sir.
Yeah, amazing. Glad to be here.
Yep.
So my name is Joel. I'm the group head of customer experience for Jubilee Holdings. Taking care of the CX agenda. So what is CX for me? CX is, Carol has used something very interesting. I feel now anything I say, the bar is set too high. But CX is that glue that brings everything together.
Yes.
It's the X factor
Yes,
that
yes.
when everything is put together, also from an organization perspective, a product, a solution, the CX is that. Now, how does your end user experience this? It's that glue that brings your product, your people, everything together.
Absolutely.
The glue, the glue.
Yes, the glue.
I like that sound.
Fantastic.
Wow. I can't wait for how we're going to flow with this. And thank you so much once again for coming in. And I want to start with you, Dr. Joseph, because when it comes to healthcare, as we say it again, I think it's one that touches almost everybody. And there's nothing else we want. We just want to feel that river when we come to the hospital. Feel that experience.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask you how you're doing it at Empressure. How are you ensuring that this is happening, especially to your customers?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, Mina. And as I said at the beginning, I mean, healthcare is so sensitive. It's about lives, souls, heartbeats that matter. And I often say that healthcare is a very sensitive business, but also very complex because it has everything that the hotel industry has. It has a laundry.
Yep.
It has a kitchen, you know. We have to ensure that there are parking facilities that are available. There are food and beverage calls to rooms. And in addition to that hotel atmosphere, now you put the clinical aspect of it. So the business becomes highly complex that how do you provide all these hubs and spokes and at the same time ensure that you have exceptional stakeholder outcomes. So it's difficult to lead. So it's very complex. Having said that, I think it goes without saying that when anyone comes into the hospital, I think they want a good experience.
Yeah.
Like, I can give you an experience when you go to a hotel, you're given a key card.
Yeah.
You're taken to your room. It's a beautiful experience. You start going to the room, what's there, what's that. And when you're leaving, it's just a matter of 5 minutes and you're discharged. So that's the experience that, you know, the Empressure Hospital wants to create. So our journey started off with, Empressure is one of the oldest hospitals in the country. We are soon going to be turning 100 years.
Wow. That's amazing.
And it's a milestone for an organization to be standing on its feet, pillar to pillar, with a very strong foundation. And I joined the hospital about 14 years ago. And at that time, Aina, we used to have those old suggestion boxes with keys to them. So any patient would write what they need, cold food, room 503, and then they would just put it. By the time you go to it, there's little you could do feedback. So we scrapped off all those suggestion boxes and we said, now we're going to go to a different level. So we started monitoring our patients' feedback through a barcode system. And we started using NPS, something that was new to us at that time, the Net Promoter Score. So we did those kind of things. And I think that real-time feedback is what has fashioned our journey up until now. So even if you're standing in a pharmacy queue and you take that barcode and say that I've been waiting in this queue for too long, someone will come to rescue you. And what's the problem? What happened? Is there something that we can do for you? So what we did in 2021, in addition to the barcode system that we implemented a couple of years ago, is we built a strategy for 5 years. And this strategy was done in the collaboration of our management and our board. And we had 4 pillars of strategy, which I'll not mention, but one of the best pillars was exceptional stakeholder experience with superior patient outcomes. I know it's a mouthful, but it was ingrained in our 5-year strategy that we want to have people, teams, processes, policies that would be now creating that experience for us. And within that pillar, we went in to see that what was our room linen like? What are the bathrobes like? What do the towels look like? What does the crockery and cutlery look like? So there was a whole catering audit that happened within that. So a lot of initiatives that were undertaken, but I think it started off with throwing away the suggestion box and coming up with new, innovative ways that we could be able to engage with our customers. And remember, these clients are sick. The only thing that they want to do is now go home. No one likes the walls of a hospital.
That's true.
So putting it in the strategy and with the board buy-in, what we also did is we started introducing a measuring mechanism in every single employee's balance scorecard. That's our way to measure performance. So every person, now we have started using CSAT scores, customer satisfaction scores. So we moved from NPS to CSAT. Now everyone in their balance scorecard has a KPI, a key performance indicator of CSAT. So sometimes my IT people ask me to see, but That's not my job. I'm a back office staff. Why have you put a CSAT score that you're going to be measuring my performance on? But I feel that it's a family sort of a project.
Yeah.
Everyone has to work. If the queue management system is not working, we'll not be able to give that service. And who handles the queue management system? The IT. The systems should be working. There should be uptime of computers. Phones should be working. Our websites should be working.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think it's a whole experience that we have put into it. But I think what we've also done is to change the culture of the institution. Yes, customer is king, but employee is also king.
Absolutely.
So we are also trying to see that first the employee should be able to understand that journey before we decide to make corrections. If you are not complete, you are not whole, you're not able to present your full self, then how is it that you're going to be able to create that experience? And we all have rough days, Maina. I may have come to work after having an argument with my spouse, or my children were late to school. How do I present my full self and make that? Because we do get some very abusive customers. You know, and we have workplace violence policies. So how do you balance that? So we've been able to have policies around that how do you deal with customers who become very violent, sometimes even up to a point where they beat our staff because they are frustrated. So all that comes as a proper 360 degree at the hospital, that we're providing this complex structure, but at the same time trying to create that experience and not forgetting the values of compassion. So I think those are some of the things that we've
it's
done.
so many things to digest.
Right.
But I think I love the fact that you're saying yes, customer is king, so as the employees is king. So have to ensure that they are well taken care of. You know what I'm thinking? I don't know whether you guys think the same thing. You can go to a hospital, get more sick, or even get better even before you see the doctor.
Just from the experience.
And it should be the X factor, right? Yeah. Just taking out of that. Yeah. By the way, now speaking on that, you work a lot with the insurance guys. We have represented as well, right?
A very strong partner.
Very strong, very key partners here.
Gerard, I can't wait to hear your end as well. And I wanted to ask you about, the shifts that you've seen as well. We are the people sometimes when in a hospital as well that we call because you need to clear ourselves, the hospital can deal with us and the likes. And I know sometimes you also get frustrated once.
That's true.
But the bottom line is that you want to ensure that you also enhance great experience as well to your customers who are very close as well at these hospitals and the likes. So give us some color on that and how you guys are doing it there at Jubilee.
Amazing. Yeah. Actually, right now, Jubilee Health, we are the biggest health insurer in the country. So let me start from there. So I know Doc here will understands that. So means on that P&L revenue on the list of insurance, will be somewhere there on the top. But I don't think we have gotten there just by chance. Yes, BD and everything, but there is something. I think even we're having a chat earlier, just saying there is one question that we ask ourselves as Jubilee: how do we ensure that we improve that experience? And more so, I love the way you put it, stakeholder. So hospitals are our biggest stakeholders. From a health insurance perspective, you can't do anything without your key partner. Actually, M-Pisha serves our customer. We do not serve our customer. So if there is one place I need to focus is that relationship between Jubilee and M-Pisha. So that now when Maina, who holds the Jubilee card, walks in at M-Pisha, M-Pisha and Jubilee have combined forces to ensure this happen. So how do we go about it? So we do a lot of collaboration. Early on we were having a chat of conversation we are having and asking ourselves. So pre-approvals, I'm sure, we call them pre-authorization. The more it's a headache to you guys as our clients, both hospital and insurer, it is also a headache to us. And that's like one biggest CX pain area. So we ask ourselves and go now to M-Pisha and say, guys, we do want this pre-approval for XYZ. But if we can do a process flow that flows all the way from when a customer walks in and pre-arrange, those thing of proactive CX, pre-arrange how this customer, we know 50% of the people who will come, they will have XYZ. We have the data, So how do we ensure that if these people come, if this client, your patient, my client come, we already had this discussion long ago about the cost, about the process, about what needs to be done, where the form is needed, what needs to be filled, so that by the time they come, if they need a form, they fill the form. you do not even need to engage us. The only check you need to check is, do their card have a balance? Yes, please proceed. So those are real conversations. And I can tell you, we have seen real drop. I remember there's this conversation a while back from a CX initiative. I was doing an analysis. We were doing analysis with the team of pre-authorization and noticing a trend that we were saying almost around 60% of the pre-authorization were below the threshold that we had kept. So our threshold is 15,000. Anything below 15,000, which is majority, don't pre-authorize.
Right.
60% is being pre-authorized.
Yeah.
But why is it being pre-authorized? Misaligned processes. So we started a journey of now aligning processes, and that number significantly dropped. So right now, for sure, one, we have among the best DATs on approval. And as well, we talk to our partners to ensure that even though it's needed, we knew you are coming. And we already had this conversation long before, So yeah, that's one initiative we are doing. And just to ensure to have those real conversations, it's all around processes.
Yeah.
It's all around the efficiency. How do we work together to ensure that that patient, that client of Jubilee is 100% sorted?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's an amazing conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love what you're doing in terms of innovations as well. There are sometimes that never have to call.
Yes.
It's all about just my finger and things are done and you're out and dusted, which is very good. I mean, like times when we had to wait until pre-authorization. That was one.
Yes.
Let me got my right side now. And these amazing people, the two of them, we were in a beautiful place in Kisumu County, Kisumu Dala.
Dala.
And they have done an immense work when it comes to customer experience at the institute of the likes, even from their own individual capacity as well. So I want to bring in that conversation fast, but I want to start with you, Carol, which probably should have been the first question, but I was more drawn towards the guys on the ground. The guys on the ground. First of all, I would want you to start with the fact that we have an institute, and it's important for them to know that you even serve in the board. But what does the institute exist to do first? So anybody else who probably is doing customer experience and is not a member should probably jump in. Can we start there?
Yes, let's absolutely start there.
Yeah.
When we started 15 years ago,
15.
Yeah.
It's made 15.
imagine.
I didn't even know about it.
Imagine.
She told me, I was like, what?
Wow.
See that
Yeah. It's been quite a journey.
Yeah.
We started as Institute of Customer Service.
Or service.
Yeah. It was ICS. Yeah. And we're focused so much on giving good service, delivering service, ensuring policies and tractions and processes and all of these things that make organizations and institutions are working, which would deliver service no matter where you are. And then things started to shift because even if you're delivering excellent service, for whom? For whom? That stakeholder, that patient, that client, that citizen, that customer, what are they feeling?
Yeah.
Because you can go out of your way and create great processes that work for you.
Yeah. True.
And then when the customer or the patient or the citizen is experiencing it, it's not working for them. So we need to have a complete shift. And so we rebranded to Institute of Customer Experience. Yeah. So service is great and it's important. Experience rides on the bedrock of service. Yeah. But what about how I feel? That feeling of things are flowing. It's like a river. It's seamless. It's convenient. It's the X factor. That is so important. Yeah. So we exist to ensure that everybody understands that first. And that even if I am the Buddha writer, I must have my Buddha clean. Yeah, so that my customer's experience is good. Because the services, I will get you there. I will move you from here to there. But the experience of being on a clean Buddha, I have my helmet, I feel safe. I feel okay, you greeted me when I came. Yeah. And we had a good journey together. That is important. Okay. So we are in education, information, we're in reward and recognition, we have membership programs to add member value. We are in research and knowledge. That's why this report is here, so that we are operating not from just feelings, we're operating from data. And data, as we say, is oxygen. Customer data is oxygen. So and we are making informed decisions about how the customer actually feels and not how we feel. So ICX is here for that. Yeah. We have corporate members, we have individual members. We're inviting everybody to join us because the customer, the client, the patient, the citizen, the stakeholder is the driver of that institution. Okay. And without them, we are nothing.
Help us understand, is there a mindset shift that needs to happen in organizations? Because as you've said and alluded in some of your conversations, it should be ingrained in the strategy completely.
Completely.
What things need to happen to organizations, probably the ones that are watching this for the first time and saying, okay, we need to seriously think about this?
The mindset shifts needs to happen for sure. Originally, customer experience was seen as smiling people with our headsets.
Yes.
And that was it. Those smiling people. And that was it. It wasn't understood that this is a key pillar in the institution.
Yeah.
This is something that if we don't do right, can cause the institution to cease to exist, to have lack of sustainability. And I think what really brought that home was COVID. Because there were no customers. There was nothing. Everything had shut down. People realized no customer.
Everybody was locked.
No business. Nothing is moving. Institutions can't work. We are going home. The country is shutting down. Everything revolves around the customer.
Yeah.
And so if this is how important that customer, that patient, that citizen, that stakeholder, that partner is, then we need to think like that at all times.
Yeah.
Many times in institutions, organizations, we look at finances because finances are sustainability.
Yep.
It's stability. If our finances are okay, we are stable, we are well, we can foresee into the future, we can predict, we can forecast.
Yep.
Who brings the finances? Where do the finances come from? From whose pocket? From which source? From what processes, activities, transactions? From where? So we need to start at the root. And the customer, the citizen, the patient, the stakeholder, the partner is the root. So as I sit in leadership in any institution, I need to first talk about my customer before I talk about anything else. So that's the shift that we need. Yes.
That's a good one. The root. I love that. Actually, you're also there as well, and you were quite vocal. And one thing I remember is that you and the Institute came up with an excellent maturity report.
Right.
So there's a survey you were doing, there's a work you're doing behind it, and now we have the CX Excellence Maturity Report. And I wanted to ask you to probably just paint a few things, especially on patterns that you observed that indicated where Kenya organizations are moving the needle, or are they not, probably. Yes.
So let's talk a bit about what the report was intending to do, right?
Yes.
So there were some previous reports done.
Okay.
2014, 2017. And this is really to assess from a maturity perspective, where is the country heading, where are different organizations heading. So one of the reasons for doing the report this year was around actually, what does that gap look like? Are we closing the gap on some of the things that we're not doing so well? And equally now with the age of AI and automation, there was a very strong lens on what are organizations doing around this intelligent CX, how they're driving the digital agenda to enhance whether it's patient experience, customer experience, and experience. So that was the purpose of the report. Now, we managed to get responses for over 200 people, various sectors, public, private. Majority of the respondents were from Kenya, but we've also got respondents from other African countries. Right? So it was pretty cool. Now, one of the big things that came out, and I'm going to try and tie this in with some things that both Tosif and Joel have said, is that, yes, customer experience is on everyone's mind, but the way it is being ingrained, and let me call it operationalized, there's a lot more work to be done from that perspective. So one of the previous reports said that the biggest barriers to delivering CS at that time, or CX, was around leadership and culture. Interesting thing is that now with this report, there's still one of the biggest barriers, but not the top. So organizations have done a lot of work around leadership embracing, saying customer is important, cascading that down in the organization, and people understanding, to your point around, how does the IT person understand what am I doing and how does that impact the customer's experience, right? So the leadership and culture is changing. What organizations are backing up is now on the complexity side. As organizations are growing, maturing, getting bigger, they're becoming a beast, right? In terms of who's reporting to whom, my silos, etc., and just getting those organizations to talk, work together, align is now one of the biggest headaches that people in CX and even outside of CX are facing.
Yeah.
And if you look at the example of the pre-auths, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure just internally, Joel, you've had to manage a number of personalities, a number of team leads, and that's just internal. And then you've got the supplier side, you've got the digital provider side.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest things that came out is for people who are in the CX profession, if they want to be successful in their job, they really need to figure out how do we navigate this complexity in the organizations? How do we influence?
Yeah.
And you're influencing all about how do I make you successful?
Yeah.
And in turn, I will become successful as that. So that's a big skill. A lot of people are doing it, but it needs to be more felt in that CX community.
Wow. I love that. I don't know, Dr. Tosif, I felt you agreeing a lot with Akshay here.
I was really impressed with the report.
Yes.
As a CEO, been in leadership for all these years, I've not seen something like this. Because the famous management guru Peter Drucker says, what gets measured gets done.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, I could see those figures and coming from a very strong finance background, I was ultra impressed with a report like this.
Yeah.
And I was so keen on immediately starting to share this report with everyone, not because it looks great to know these numbers, but what can be immediately actioned.
Yeah.
So amazing, amazing work.
Awesome. And in fact, I wanted to qualify the question again with, when you look at the healthcare sector, so are we leading or are we lagging behind when it comes to just ensuring that we have CX maturity, especially based on the facts that have been dropped out?
So I think the places where we are leading is there is now a lot of information.
Okay.
And now with the Data Protection Act coming in full force,
Yeah.
and Jolie will agree with me, the sensitivity of the information. Even a security guard has a list of all the patients that are admitted in a hospital. This is sensitive information, So I think we're really leading in protecting this information in this customer experience journey. We are able to put firewalls, we are able to create mechanisms, policies, and protocols around that data protection. I also feel that there's a lot of data that has now started coming in.
Yeah.
Like, for example, just to tie in with what the report says, we are now monitoring CSAT scores, NPS scores, and we are able to see the trend.
Yeah.
We are looking at figures like patient retention, patient loyalty. What are the number of hospital-acquired infections in correlation with the average length of stay? So that data is coming. I think we're really leading with those kind of numbers. Where I would say we are really lagging is the aspect of ensuring that every person who works in the customer experience department is wearing a CFO hat. And the report really brings that very strongly. That yes, you're supposed to have these very luxurious budgets, and when Maina Chege logs into my executive room, a fresh fruit basket should be waiting for him, and red roses with his red bathrobe. All those come with money.
Yes.
And there's a budget. Yes, there is a budget to these things, and he should eat from the finest crockery, and all those things are great. But how to ensure that it's having sustainable growth and financial sustainability for an institution? Because that's important. That's the driving force. That's the rhythm that needs to be there for every. And I think we are lagging in that, where we need to ensure that whatever we are doing, there is a very strong conversation around return on investment.
Absolutely. You're right.
Because if that is not there, you'd be wondering, how do I pay for this, but I don't have, it's like pouring from, an empty cup.
Yeah.
So I think if we can strengthen that, number one. Number two, we are also lagging in, I think a lot of people say, our employees, we are a team, we are going to do this, teamwork is dream, makes the dream work. But I think it also needs to have more focus on the employee engagement and experience.
Yeah.
What are you giving to your employees? So it needs to now move from a very operational aspect, as Carol was saying, to a very strategic focus.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always have this kind of conversation with my head of marketing. You've gone and put a 500,000 shilling billboard in the middle of Wayaki Way. What is the conversion? Yeah, and it's not about making money. It's about sustainability. Healthcare leaders say, but you're saving lives. but I need money also to save those lives.
Absolutely.
It's a very difficult. Why are you talking about money? No, but it's an important conversation. Budgets are important. KPIs are important. So I think that conversion that you've gone
Absolutely.
ahead and you've done this huge medical camp for the community. Is there more that we can do? You've put a billboard. Is there more that we can do? You've gone and you've participated in a symposium. So I think that aspect of it needs to come from a customer experience, that what value am I creating? And I like the report talking about the customer lifetime value.
Yeah.
You know, are we really measuring that?
Yeah.
And I think that's where we are lagging. And another very crucial aspect that I read in the report is the churn rate. So these are new things that are coming out from the report, that, you know, how much loyalty are we building towards?
Absolutely.
So there is a lot of work that we need to do,
Yeah.
because, as I said, healthcare is, we are not selling a box of cereals or tires or a watch. We are looking at real patients, and
Just
these
like-
patients could be our mothers, our sisters, our brothers.
Yeah.
So I think bringing that aspect of compassion into this is something that will build that rhythm. It will give heartbeat to this very important agenda.
Yeah.
Joel as well. I remember you. Having a very good time with CXs down there in Kisumu as well. Is it up there or down there?
It's up there.
It's up there.
It's up there.
Yes, the experience was up there.
The space was out there, right? So I want to just get a feel as well. What was your really key take out on this as well? One or two. I know Dr. Tosifa said quite a number,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
what was your key highlight from it as well?
Yeah. Actually, let me pick it up from Akshi's point about the complexity aspect. It's one finding that really made me think, because for sure, organizations have become more complex. 100-year-old, Jubilee, 87, 88 years old.
Yeah.
You're like, for me, where I sit, where you have 7 entities to take care of from a experience perspective.
Yeah.
So how do you navigate this? And well, that was one of the key takeout. Though I also saw the opportunity side of it, with complexity, and maybe going back to my earlier analogy of glue.
Yes.
Looking at a complex organization, it also presents very good opportunity for CX to actually cement their position.
Yeah.
Because we in the customer experience, we are the guys sitting and having a bird's eye view. You see the problem Department X is causing, having a silo mentality with Department Y. And you know the cost of that. And you can even put it barely, you have 10 complaints because of that silo mentality, from a very basic perspective. So I think from a checkout perspective was, how do we start leveraging that complexity to now cement our position in that boardroom, in that strategy meeting?
Yes.
Because I have the information,
Yeah.
I have the complaints.
Yeah.
I see, Department X is doing Department X. They are churning the work.
Right.
Yeah.
Department Y is doing their thing. They are churning their work. But where I sit, I'm getting complaints because of the complexity. So I saw it's a problem, but a very great opportunity as well. So if now I come to what Tospina said around now wearing the CFO hat, and combining it with this complexity. So it gives us an opportunity now to start interconnecting these issues to now saying, guys, look what it's costing us. Guys, look at these numbers and the metrics, the complaints you're getting that are leading to our churn rate being the XYZ or reducing with X percentage. And that conversation will get you to that boardroom. So I saw it as a great opportunity that we in CX, we need to take to drive the narrative of, now we have this, we hear the customer, we know the business, and now let us be in the table. CX, again, where we sit, we need culture to work more than HR. Let me say it that way. We need operations to work more than even the operation, because for them, they're churning out. From the report, it highlighted a very important aspect, and something, again, as CX professional, we need to take to leverage on. How do we now drive that employee engagement aspect, even beyond what HR is doing? Because an engaged employee, the customer is happy. Whoever they'll serve, that customer will be very happy because they are there, they know their thing. So also from the report, I think those are the two main insights I got from there.
No, I love that. And I'm sorry I limited you to only two. You know, I know you could give several more. By the way, guys, you know, from what Joel is saying, there's a component, and then Dr. Tosif, I'm actually going to come back to you on that later on, where he said that CXs, especially the people who are in charge, need to be also seated at the decision table to help, because they're the ones who really understand the client and almost dealing with these clients on a daily basis. So I'll come back to that and know what you do in a technician. But Carol, you said something in the report as well, and you talked about CX maturity.
Sure. So I wanted to ask you,
What are you trying to tell organizations, and how can they practically ensure this framework to build CX roadmap is there?
Yeah. Maturity is evolution over time.
Yeah.
So we had a report in 2014, the baseline.
Yeah.
Then we checked in 2017, and now we are checking in 2025. So we're looking at what has changed, what has moved, what has shifted, where have we grown, where have we remained the same.
Yeah.
And for some things we have remained the same, and for some things we have grown. In terms of reward and recognition, even the survey that we did last year, which was CX to EX, customer experience to employee experience, there was a shift in reward and recognition, thankfully. Because last year people were crying, see us, feel us, hear us, the staff.
Yeah.
See me, hear me, acknowledge me,
See me.
reward me, and not necessarily monetary. It's just, give meaning to my life. This year that has shifted. And so maturity is happening. Some things remain the same. Like, for example, where do CX reports get tabled? That concerned us mightily because that hasn't shifted at all. They're being tabled in the middle. They're not being tabled to the board, and they're not being tabled on the ground. So the operatives, the people who are really especially high contact with customers, are not getting the reports, the data, the information they need. And the board is also not getting the information that they need. So it's stuck somewhere here with management and senior management, but it's not at executive level, governance, advisory, policy, strategy, and it's not where we should get work done. So that needs to come unstuck. The maturity of that is stunted. It needs to come unstuck. And we're looking at it from two ways. One, we need to empower our people on the ground significantly for them to ask, push up, where is the report? What are my customers saying? What did they say yesterday? What do we need to improve? Really, they must ask so that there's a shift there. And then at the top, the chair of the board should say this meeting is not going to start without a customer experience report. You know how the board meeting will move if the finance director is not there or there's no finance report? It can even be postponed until such a time as the finance report is ready. That's the shift. If there's no customer experience report, the board meeting should not happen at all. When you see this education needs to be at board level, board chair should be the one also driving and asking CEO, let's start with the customer. Where is this money coming from? What are these operational advances we are making, IT for the customer? Because all these reports get tabled. HR and Gov is always there. People and culture is always there. Finance is always there. There's always policies to be signed, approved, etc., etc. So we need to push this way, that way. A shift needs to happen.
I love
A shift needs to happen.
And just to add on that, Mina,
Yes, go ahead.
customer experience reports should lead strategy. Strategy should not lead customer experience.
You're right. Whoa, that's a strong one.
That data
At the
should
front.
tell you now what the strategy should be.
Yes.
Speaking about data, by the way, Akshay, I think we need to scare the guys who ignore customer experience with data. Just like CFOs come and say, we were meant to make 2 billion. Jubilee talks billions.
Dollars.
Sorry. So probably we need to come up with figures, data, and you're very strong at that, especially the report as well was talking a lot about it. So I wanted to ask you, Akshay, what can we do to ensure that probably we bring in data that can be utilized? Because I think there's a lot of underutilized CX metrics that if tracked and presented well, could probably unlock C-suite attention. What can we do?
Out of all the metrics that are available, so NPS, CSAT were heavy, right? So people are actually measuring, monitoring, talking about it, even if it's just in the middle of the organization. What's not coming out strongly is Now tying this down to financial objectives and business objectives, right? And think about it this way from a board's perspective. If I was to tell the board that, because our pre-auth process is broken, our NPS for this quarter is -12, the board person is just going to look at you and say, so what does that mean?
What does that mean?
Now, instead, if you flip it and say, we have this problem, and as a result, we've noticed that our customers for this month, this quarter, reduced by this much. Therefore, there was lost revenue of that. The board members start giving you money. Can you quickly fix the problem? Right? So one of the biggest things, and this is something that came out very strongly, is that people who are in CX need to show the board people, show them the money. What is the impact from a revenue perspective? What's the impact from a cost perspective? And just being able to speak the language. And that could be one of the strong reasons why CX reporting is stuck in the middle. Board guys don't hear, like, you keep on telling us all these soft, fluffy things. Customer experience is important. We need happy customers. We get that.
Yeah.
But you're not telling us what you want to spend the money on and how is it going to change our top line and bottom line.
Okay.
So I think that's one part of it. But the second part of it, numbers will open the door. But there's got to be the art of telling the story.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you cannot justify and tell the story of why I need to build a contact center, right? Why I need to automate my contact center, make it part WhatsApp driven, part human, you're not going to end up fixing the problem.
Yeah.
And guess where the finger is going to start pointing to? Like, well, you are CX. Even though CX is everybody's job from a culture perspective. You guys didn't fix this. But you didn't give me the money. You didn't tell us what money you needed. So it becomes like a never-ending cycle.
And I like that. So what you're saying is that we need to help CX professionals to build a business case for strategic investments using data.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's it.
I love that. I love that. I love that.
That's it. Actually, the customer experience person at whatever level should wear the CEO's hat.
Yeah.
I should know what's happening with everything. Everything.
Yeah.
From operations to HR to procurement to finances to every administration, I should know everything because I must be an influencer. Influencer?
Yes.
That's a career. Now there's a career called influencer.
Carol, I want to put it
be
well
an
for you.
influencer.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to
be
even put it
influencer.
well for you. There's
Yes.
this board guys, board guy. You know where Doc is, Monopoly? There's a
Yes.
board.
Yes.
And they're like, who's new with this new face you've brought here? What are they bringing on the table? Because you got to bring your CX person and say, I need this person here. And then mine ask, what do you tell the board people who are probably watching and have never had a CX person coming in with the data actually talking about it?
Right.
What are they bringing on the table?
Yeah. I will not even talk to them about the table. I'll talk to them about the chair.
Like that.
Leave the table. We have no table here.
Yes.
Yeah. We can operate a whole meeting without a table.
Without a table.
Like what we're doing.
We have no table. I'm not talking about table. I'm talking about the chair.
The chair.
I would tell them they need an empty chair in every board meeting. And the customer is sitting in that chair. And the customer here is the internal customer because we've talked here a lot about the employee engagement and the external customers just as well. Whether it's the citizen, the patient, the stakeholder partner, whoever that customer is, the client, whatever we want to call our customer, is sitting there. And in all the things we are discussing, strategy, policy, advisory, guidance, oversight, whatever boards discuss, what would the customer say, feel, do? What's the experience of the customer in these decisions we are making here? So it is the chair, Mina. It's not the table.
I love the customer note. Will they be, oh my goodness, or oh my goodness?
Yes.
If they were there, what will they be, or their reaction be?
Absolutely. And I think they say, don't make a decision for me without me.
I love that. Yeah. Let them be there.
And that's what we try and do. That how do you put the patient at the center of the decision making?
Yeah.
I'll tell you a quick story. When COVID-19 happened,
Yeah.
and we're like, everyone's going cashless. Everyone, no money and everything. So we are like in a hospital, how do we go cashless? So we went, but did we put the exasperation of the patient in it when we were going cashless? It was very easy for us to make a decision, become cashless.
Right.
But what do we do to patients, for example, who don't have mobiles that day or did not have or it's a foreign patient who's come maybe from Mogadishu and needed care but needs to clear the bill. So I think that decision-making power, putting your client, customer, patient at the center of every decision-making to make that customer experience journey seamless and flow is a very important point.
I love that. And that's how actually they will also earn the seat. Absolutely. Is it?
And you should hear that feedback.
Yeah.
I mean, as emotionally exhausting it can be, Maina, but it's important we hear. But more than hear, we action.
We action. Absolutely.
It's not enough just to read. It's very emotionally. I waited for so long to see if my lab results came on, and we may have our reasons, but we should listen and say, what can I improve? And for those leaders trying to work on that feedback, my small piece of advice is that when some issue happens in one department, don't look at it in isolation for only one department. Look throughout, because there may be the same issues that are cutting across. Like we have more than 53 departments in the hospital.
Wow.
So how do you remain that consistency?
You're right. Joel, you will have the final word on this conversation. And the fact that you're sitting on the seat as, group lead when it comes to Matter CX at Jubilee, I wanted to ask you, what's your advice to anyone who's watching as well? And probably they've been given that seat. There's this thing called CX, you take it up. Or some other people probably are already doing it, but they really want to be to ensure that they get the chairs along the table.
And the business case is not only saying improved NPS. It is how does that NPS move from an NPS to ENPS to TAT to cost saving.
Yes.
So when I sit with a CFO and the CFO is part of the steerco that is approving my business case, I need to talk about the man-hour savings that translate to maybe dollars. Somebody ever read a book, somebody spoke about delight to dollar. How am I moving this initiative? This was up chatbot. So from just a delight entity to a dollar thing, call reduction. What is your, I used to call it bum on seat. What's your cost to serve? So that now you're telling the CFO, so my budget has been X, and I'm reducing it by 10%, which means X, Y, Z. So the first advice is we need to be good at the business case. Any CX initiative needs to have financial metrics. Actually, you told us there, show me the money. Remember Kisumu?
Show me the money.
Executive board are saying, show me the money. I understand NPS. I understand. I know. I feel you. Customers need to be happy, but show me the money. So business case, we must perfect that. We must do the data crunch. You must know how to internalize customer data. All the way to a financial metric. Your churn rate, those things we are discussing here from the report. That's the first thing.
Okay.
Second thing is collaboration. You see, so currently, let me use an example of Jubilee. So Jubilee, we are on a digital transformation agenda, a big one that we are going through. A 5-year strategy that we're even extending beyond. Everything happening on the digital transformation agenda. When I sit, from where I sit, it's very CX. I am part of it because there is a pillar I'm leading. But the other pillars, because it's so huge, I can't lead everything.
Yes.
So there is this notion of us in CX wanting to do everything. I think you spoke about it in Kisumu. Doing everything.
Everything.
You want to own because it touches on the customer. So I'll use an example of one simple pillar that we are using around automation. So I'm not leading the automation pillar, but I can tell you for free, 100% of everything happening being automated, be it RPA, be it integration, be it robotic process automation, it's CX.
It touches on them completely.
It's 100% CX. So collaboration is key. So if the leader of RPA is not somebody who I can walk up to and say, hey, hi, actually. So in this process, from a customer perspective, this is what I'm thinking. Why don't we, if I can't collaborate with this person, I'll end up losing, So that I do not need to lead this, but I need to ensure when that process is being reviewed, I'm there.
Absolutely.
I need to ensure that when they are discussing about a customer portal, or let me even say one key thing we recently launched, an intermediary portal, for instance. I am there in that conversation because while maybe I'm not the one leading it, but CX need to sign off, including that sign off, saying that this thing is okay. It will work for my customer. So we need to learn that collaboration. We need to learn how to go to, any CX that you need to learn how to go to your CFO and just talk, have a conversation. So this is what I'm thinking. This is what I want to do on my budget. How do I, ask the question, how do I do this? From an analytics perspective, we have a lot of data. Analytics is another pillar that we are driving. So we have a full BI team. Yeah. So if I decide to sit with my surveys and my my insights, my complaints, and I do not go and have a chat with the head of analytics and say, guys, so you have done a nice dashboard for me around CX and everything, but beyond this, you guys do predictive. Beyond what you're showing me, what do I need to do? So yeah, let me not overemphasize collaboration.
Yes.
Collaboration. Collaboration.
Yes.
We need to do the business case.
So if we just summarize the conversation, right? So we've talked about data. Data is key because that helps you build your business case.
Yeah.
Now, once you successfully land your business case, you have to collaborate and act.
Yes.
But now, what a lot of CXers also miss is now that communication.
Exactly.
So you roll something out, you've improved CX significantly. We need to boost our stories, right? Both internally and externally. Because that does a number of things, including getting your employee engagement morale up. When people understand, we did this successfully and now our customers are happier, we're getting more money. Guess what? I'm going to get a bonus because tick, 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 my balance scorecard, everything is met. So it's about tying all those things together, and that's what CXers need to get good at.
Lovely. And I want us to actually, I hope that wasn't your pattern shot, because I want to give everybody a minute to be a pattern shot. So just gather the pattern shot. So Carol, I think you'll have the first word.
Yes,
You
yes.
know, what's your third word?
My final word is, when we speak like this, it sounds like CX is this big, complex thing.
Yes.
We have thrown around words here, NPS, CMT, maturity, intelligence. Yes, I mean, we have really spoken big things. It is big.
It is.
But I want to tell the mama mboga.
Yeah.
I want to tell the lady selling vegetables that customer experience is for you. Find out from your customer, do you want it cut like this or like this? Find out from your customer at the end of every conversation, you're buying more oranges. Do you have a cold? Is there a problem? What's going on? Data. And then you will tell her, okay, these pixie oranges are not so good for cold. You need the original ones from Okambani, the green covered ones.
Some ginger.
Don't buy this. Nana, I bring you ginger. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That is
So
CX.
just watch your customer, understand your customer, speak to your customer. Customer data is coming to you. You're suddenly buying more. Are your children at home for holiday? How come you bought more? So I know that, predict, you said. I know that in April, in August, in December, you will need more. So I will tell my supplier to bring more so that you don't come and say, I don't have. You're not selling, you don't have.
Yeah.
So customer experience is for everybody.
Everybody.
Every single person. Let's just listen to our customers, understand what they are saying, and act. That's for sure. That's it.
CX is, and my parting shot.
Yeah.
Will be, it's all about people. I think the people element, it was last year's survey.
Yes,
We spoke about the connection between employee experience and customer experience. One of the key things that we, organizations across, we need to learn is that if you don't take care of the people, and people here is employees and customers, you have lost it. Be it from a CX perspective, from a business perspective. And that people aspect is the thing that will drive the business. So your employees speak to customers or interact with them directly or indirectly. They most probably have a better idea than you who is sitting on the big office. Most probably. Maybe you do, you have foresight. So how do you translate their day-to-day experience from that people engagement to now the strategic future of the company? So let's focus on the people.
I think mental health and well-being is a very important topic. In fact, May is the Mental Health Awareness Day.
Lovely.
And this month's theme is about more community, more collaboration, more support, more having that shoulder to cry on. So I think mental health, definitely, it is something that is very important. And at the hospital, of course, we're doing many activities to do with that. We encourage meditation, we encourage Zumba, we encourage employee support groups where you can have a trusted partner. And I think everyone is going through a bigger battle than we all know. But it's try to, breathe in and divorce away from that and say, okay, I'm coming to work. I need to give my 100% here. It's easier said than done, but it's something that it's something that we have to work on a daily basis. It's on a daily basis because everyone is struggling. And I think just, a parting shot, I'm almost sounding like I'm in a movie and then we have to give a parting shot. But for any agenda, whether it is strategy, it is budget, the famous Greek, if I'm not mistaken, Aristotle said that if you want something to really touch someone, it should have logos, pathos, and ethos.
Yeah.
Logos means, does it appeal to my logic?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now, logic is all these NPS, numbers. The problem is in customer experience, we stop at logic. Finished. These are the numbers. But let's talk about pathos, my feelings. What are those feelings that are there? And then ethos. I shouldn't just do things because Maina is my boss. What are my ethics? And in all these logos, pathos, ethos, we should not forget in this automation and AI and all these things that are driving bigger agendas outside the borders of Kenya, we should not forget that human connection because there are people behind that counter.
Yeah.
Don't forget compassion.
Yes.
Put compassion in what you're planning
Especially in
to do.
healthcare.
Yeah. That one hug, they've not come here to just put the stethoscope on my chest to hear my breathing.
Yeah.
They're here to see I'm holding you. How are you feeling today? I'm here to make you feel better, not behind our computer screen. So what is the problem? Your head is paining. Where is it? No. Let's bring that human connection in the customer experience journey with it.
Wow. I was about to lean in,
Okay.
As we are saying, amen.
I guys thought you were done. I've closed my tablet. So it means no more questions, but I have a thought. At some point, we mentioned about how CX is thinking about billboards, stuff like that. And I want you to think of a billboard right now, written, CX is at the heart of leadership. So, and then in Swahili, we used to say, alama za dukuduku. So I want you to feel that sentence. It's written there. It's a very big billboard. CX is at the heart of leadership. So, 1, 2, 3. So you're going to complete that sentence. Who started the other one?
CX is at the heart of
leadership. So just fill it up. There you go.
Right.
How would you think that?
So let's start with the heart of our employees.
So let's start with the heart of our employees. Lovely. Thank you for that. Carl?
CX is at the heart of leadership.
Yeah.
So I need to embed it in my heart and operate from there.
Wow. I love it. Embed it in my heart and operate from there.
Yes.
Doc, how would you put it?
Let's do it again. CX is that heart of leadership because it is the pulse of my patient.
Pulse of
They have the logo.
very nice.
Wow. CX is at the heart of the leadership because it drives strategy.
Because it drives strategy.
Right.
Yes.
I love that. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it's getting more inspirational here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maina. That was
Yeah,
wonderful.
thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
You guys have been wonderful. You've been breathing because of us.
I know.
And they've been very encouraging. We are talking, then they're nodding at us. They're feeling very encouraged by you.
Absolutely.
There's some pictures being taken also. And
Yes, on the go. Yes. A lot of
The
time.
vibe. What is it?
The vibe is
The vibe is vibing.
The vibe is vibing. The vibe is vibing. Yeah.
Yeah, the vibe is at the center of our hearts.
Yeah. And guys, we're still recording.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to close. So thank you so much once again, even for you, our viewers who have watched this conversation. This has been an amazing inaugural one. And so we hope that immediately fast is that you will share this to anybody else who needs to hear this. Number 2 is that you'll subscribe and definitely watch and keep up to terms for the next one. Thank you so much. And bye-bye.
Bye.